All right, hello and welcome. So patch 0.8.5 has created a bit of an issue where there are now 2 new dungeons, 3 dungeons in total, and you have to get keys for all of them if you want to do that content. And they have 4 tiers, so to even do tier 4 of the dungeon content, which is, the most rewarding, you have to get 4 keys before you can even try it, and of course succeed in the first 3. This has definitely created a problem where people just don't have a lot of keys. And further exacerbating that, there was a bug or an oversight in the beginning of the patch where keys weren't dropping off of Monolith bosses. That has since been patched, and they now do. And since then, I have done, well, even before then, I've done a lot of testing on the best way to get keys. Unfortunately, I have to tell you, there's not a lot of great ways to get keys, especially if you're a new player. It's a lot of luck, a lot of RNG, but there are ways that you can improve your chances of getting them and even target farm them. And so if you're really someone who just wants the keys and wants to speed that process up, I've got some options for you. So we're going to start with the first option, which is the most new player friendly, kinda. I mean, there's really no good new player friendly. This one doesn't require you to build up corruption though, whereas the other one is going to require it in order to really maximize your experience. So the new arena champion system has been added, and if you put an arena key, which of course I don't have in here, so let me go grab one real quick. Nice and prepared. All right, grab a key out of my stash tab. There we go. Oops. And we pop that into the new arena. By the way, to get the arena champions, you have to go to Champions Gate, which is the Divine Era. It's off of Arbor. So you won't have this unlocked to begin with because it is new content if you're just starting to play. So I'll put that in there. And then we have the option 1 through 4 here. Now, I don't know if there's honestly any difference in the speed at which you'll get a key doing 1, 2, 3, or 4. I can't really tell with hours of testing. But what I can tell you is what I've experienced is there's only one place where you get keys in the arena. So the way that the new arena system works, the champions portion, not this one over here, the endless, is you'll every 10 waves get an option between 2 modifiers, which increase the difficulty, but also give you some sort of reward at the end if you kill the arena champion. Now, the first rewards are not key related, so wave 10. The second one is, but only on the left side. The right side is not key related. The left side can drop a dungeon key, but it can also do an arena key, and it can also do something else. This seems to share exalteds. And then the 30 wave one, which is the final one you'll pick from, on the left side is always an arena key, and the right side is almost always uniques, but is never a key either. So there's only one spot at wave 20 that seems to ever have a key. At least from the hours and hours I did it, it's the only place it ever showed up for me. So you can go in, do 20 waves, see if you get the key, drop out, go back in, as long as you have enough dungeon keys. If you don't, then don't do this, because you're going to want to go through wave 30 and pick up the dungeon key so you can keep cycling through. So if you have extra dungeon keys to spare, go 20 waves in, see if it's there, jump back out. If it's not, if it is, go all the way through. If you don't have extra dungeon keys, just keep going all the way through and picking the dungeon key for the wave 30 so that you can continue to cycle over and over. This is not a particularly fun way to do it, I don't think. I'm not a huge arena fan anyway, but if you want to make sure you have some sort of shot at it where you're in some sort of control, this is an option. Now, if that doesn't sound fun to you and you do not mind building corruption or have gotten corruption built already on a character, then what I think is a little bit more fruitful is actually doing the monolith and targeting the bosses. So the way this works is you will do your monolith in empowered with higher corruption. This is 350, I've dumped to 500, and you will push through to build stability, and you will hit up shades. Shades can drop keys at a much higher rate than the echoes will. And then when you build up enough stability, you will also hit up the boss. You're going to want to try to get increased item rarity on these, so keep some mods on and then hit them. And the bosses seem to have the highest drop rate, at least from the little bit of research I've been able to do, or experimentation I've been able to do, the data I've been able to collect. Here's the data, by the way. is why I think this is the best way to do it. So I did 2 days worth of testing, one at about 100 to 150 corruption. So that's like a fresh character basically that just hit empowered. And then one at between 250 at 500, more 500 or so than 250. And collected the data. Now, I can't compare the hours because this one already had a bunch of stuff built up for bosses, but we can compare like boss drops, and we can compare shade drops. And you can see that there's maybe some correlation. There's supposed to be correlation for corruption and key dropping, and it seems to be true. So on the lower character, just from plain echoes, I had 4 drops in 5.5 hours. And I had 2 drops from the corruption, but that's honestly just an artifact of me pushing the bosses and the shade when I already had them prepared, just doing a lot fewer echoes than I was doing in the other one. So I do believe this will drop more. I have no reason to think it won't. So this is going to drop more than lower corruption is going to, but this is still not too terribly bad. It's not quite a key per hour, but you are getting some keys from it. And then in the bosses, we killed 5 bosses on the lower corruption one and got 4 keys. On the higher corruption one, we killed 9 bosses and got 11 keys. So over 1 per boss there, and just under 1 per boss on the 150 or so. For our shade kills, we killed 6 shades and only got 1 key from the lower one, and then we killed 5 and got 4 keys from the higher. I think these numbers are closer. I think I got unlucky with the 6 to 1. That would be really bad ratio if that held. So I imagine this will probably be something like half a key per shade. This is probably closer to 1 key per shade. Again, we're just guessing here on a relatively small data set. In fact, in some ways, it's a very small data set. Like 5 shades is a very small data set. But I think this will generally hold that more corruption is going to give you more. So the farther you can push, the better. The good news is like 150 is not crazy at all. So, and again, I started at like 100 and then I pushed up to 150. I think I was like at 120 when I started and then pushed to 150. So it's about a 30 corruption. So even this one should net you like 2-ish keys per hour probably. And then this is closer to like 3 keys per hour. And I think that's pretty manageable and pretty consistent. So I think that the best strategy right now, especially if you have high corruption, is to do the echoes into shades. Farther out shades are better, by the way. They're very likely to be better because the game tends to reward the higher shades with a better drop rate on most things. We don't know for sure that's the case here, but I'm assuming it is. So I would go a little bit further out than maybe like the very first one. Hit a shade as soon as you can. When you get your stability, hit up your boss. Rinse and repeat. Try to put some modifiers on them to increase your item rarity. Now there's another trick you can do as well that'll help with at least 1 key, which is the Lightless Arbor. So you can't do this with Soulfire Bastion or Temporal Sanctum, but Lightless Arbor, the mechanic of that, when you actually finish the dungeon, kill the boss, and get to the vault, will allow you to choose a Lightless Arbor key as a reward, and there are systems in that vault that allow you to duplicate the items of a chest. So you can actually choose the Lightless Arbor reward and then do some duplication. And then you can get 5 or 6, or even, I think at one point I got 8 keys just from that. You have to have gold to take advantage of this. But if you're trying to do the Lightless Arbor, it's because you already have gold. If you don't have gold, you have no real good reason to run the Arbor because it's just a gold sink. So there is a much more consistent way of getting Lightless Arbor if you just get a key and go in and then duplicate it through that vault system. You will not run out of keys. I have quite a few. I've actually spent quite a few of the Arbor keys already with some experimentation, and I still have like a bunch. I was actually doing a lot of testing on the dungeon, the tier 4 boss there, and wasted some keys trying some strategies, but I still have quite a few. And you can see compared to Soulfire Bastion, which I ran quite a bit less, I've actually still got more Arbors. And I had worse luck on the Arbor in general than I had on Bastion in the past couple of days. So Arbor is not really an issue. You just need a few keys and you're good to go. Just go hit the vault up, look for the key in there, and do some duplication. Unfortunately, there's no faster way to get the other two, Temporal Sanctum and Soulfire Bastion. And so this is the best we got. I wish I had better news for you as far as like a more consistent approach, especially for newer players, especially for players who don't have a lot of corruption, who don't have a lot of time. But this right now seems to be a pretty significant time sink if you want to spend any amount of serious time in those dungeons and take advantage of those mechanics. The only one this really matters for like long term is probably Soulfire Bastion though, because Lightless Arbor and Temporal Sanctum both have strong limiters to what you like, how often you even want to do it. You only want Sanctum generally if you're going to make a legendary, and you're going to make a legendary if you have an LP unique and an exalted to go with it. And you're only going to do Lightless Arbor if you have gold. And if you're a fairly casual player, you won't have a lot of gold most of the time anyway, so you only do this every once in a while. You almost certainly have more keys than you need. But Soulfire Bastion actually has a really good mechanic that's worth interacting with whenever you can. And so this is probably going to be where people are most frustrated, trying to get this key and actually spend some time with the Soul Gambler, with the modifications you can put on it, going through doors. You can get tier 5 seal affixes on items, which you can't actually craft. You can't get them anywhere else in the world, so there's some strong value to that. I wish I had better news on that one, but the reality is it's going to be a grind. Monolith or Arena Champions, I recommend Monolith, especially if you can push the corruption. Arena Champions will be a little bit like faster to see your results, but from my own experience, you get that one key in that one slot, and it didn't happen very often. Honestly, it was sharing so many spaces that it was really rare that I actually got the key I wanted. All right, that's all I wanted. I want to give you guys some options as far as what to do with the keys, and give you some potential to maybe improve your farming if you're getting frustrated with it, and get a few more keys than you were getting before. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a good time in Last Epoch. Hopefully something will come along soonish to help with the keys, but in the meantime, hopefully this helps you out to get to do more of the content that you want to. All right, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all again real soon.